What goes through my mind when improvising is a tough question to answer, but I would say that first of all, I'm trying to think of the next little like musical pattern I'm gonna do, and then I just kind of let like my hands take control of what like the sound that I'm trying to make is going like from my mind down to my hands, which is a very technical way of putting how it happens.
When I'm improvising, I don't have a standard train of thought. I'm not necessarily thinking about notes. I'm not necessarily thinking about a specific concept. It's more like looking at an abstract picture in my mind. I have a general idea of what it is, but it's not specific.
When I start improvising, I just try to think of what I'm going to play next, because I just kind of play what I'm feeling and then go through that.
You know, it's not electronic music, it's acoustic. You know, there's so many different parts of a snare that you can hit to get different sounds. There's so many ways that you can hit a cymbal to get different sounds. It's just an entire, just like animal.
Besides the music theory that I'm thinking about while I'm improvising, it can be anything. I can be literally thinking about a random moment in my life. I mean, obviously, sometimes I would be thinking about where should I go next? No, music theory-wise, what makes sense? What doesn't make sense but may sound good? Let's try that out.
To think too much is definitely detrimental to improvising at all.
When I get into the music and really get into it, my mind is not really thinking. It's blank, and it's a good feeling.
I don't think about anything when I play music. I try to listen as much as I possibly can.
Maybe that's what improvising and composing is all about. Remembering what you have heard, but forgetting where you heard it from.
A lot of times just from experience of like playing certain chords, you know what's like parts on the fretboard will sound good with those chords. When you don't know theory, a lot of it's like through your ears, like you could hear the different tones and you know where on the scale or where on your fretboard you should start playing.
When you're playing just a drum solo, that's a whole different thing in itself. And eventually that's just what I want to do, because drum solos are just totally different. You're not playing for anybody. You know, when you play, you know, with the band, you know, sometimes you kind of have to hold back a little bit on what you want to do. But when you're doing a drum solo, you can go out of time. You totally disconnect from the group and you just go into like your own personal like abyss. Like you just go into your own eternity and you just like find the light, you know, the light that is within you, and you just like keep on going toward that light. And then, you know, your band will call you back and the light will shut off and you'll just like rejoin.
I can improvise in non-repeating patterns, and it's not a chord like a recurring chord progression. It really is moving somewhere. More specifically, I'm improvising in Chinese pop style, which is, you know, almost like Western art song. So there's a chord progression, and you keep on going. And my fingers, I guess I've improvised enough that I can improvise without thinking about where I'm going. It's almost like my hands controlling themselves.
When you're listening to music and playing along to it or playing with people, you listen, like, at least I listen to them a lot more than listen to what I'm playing. If I'm listening to like a DVD or a concert or one of my favorite bands and playing along with that, it's just all like in the mood of how they're playing and like what you play along with.
I listen all the time. I can't play without listening.
Playing with someone else is definitely a lot better because you get to work off of what they're doing, and it just gives you much more ideas that you wouldn't have had.
You know, playing the drums, it's a lot about multitasking and balance. You know, you have to keep the tempo, but you also have to make it interesting. And you also have to listen to like the bass, you know, and you can't listen to the bass too much because it's, you know, a lot like the drums, it has like a steady beat. So you want to listen to like the piano, which is, you know, a little bit more, you know, loose. And then, you know, you listen to like, you know, lead guitar, and sometimes the lead guitar is just, you know, more inspiring than the bass or the piano, but you can't get away from that consistent beat. So you have to just play with it, a little bit. You have to just, use your common sense. There's a lot of common sense in it.
When I play, I try to definitely listen to the other people to influence what I play next, like a small, like, I guess in music you would call it motif that they're playing. I would try to make it the basis for maybe the beginning of my next solo, or kind of copy the rhythm they use in the background.
When I'm playing live, I try to pretend that it's just like me and the guys, just playing for ourselves, just like vibing, just like, looking at each other, just like communicating just without talking. A band is a being. It's not about one person.
The one thing that's the most important, I'd say, if you want to sound good, is to listen to other people. Music is a kind of communication.
When you just combine souls, like you can just create something that just can't exist just in the natural world. You're just creating something supernatural.
Your music is interacting with another person's music when you are playing with them. And it's absolutely essential that, that you guys don't just talk over each other. You have to talk to each other. And when the other person is making music, you have to find places where you can just support it, and there can be chemistry sometimes such that, it's not just supporting each other, like both of you are supporting each other, and there's synergy and chemistry involved, and all of a sudden this is like when it's like two people falling in love, almost like this chemistry, and the music elevates to a different level.
I'll listen to different things that people are doing, and if I like something, I'll kind of just like, give the signal, and people will just like pick up on that, or I'll change the beat up, and it's a really democratic process.
When I'm like jamming or playing with other people, I try to kind of sound with them, so I alter the way I'm playing to make it sound well with what they're playing.
I'm always listening, I'm always looking, and a lot of the times it's not even listening, it's looking at the facial expressions on, the rest of my band's just like face, it's a lot of things. It's the smells in the room, it's the weather outside, it's just a lot of different things, lots of different inputs. I couldn't even begin to count them, but they're there. Playing music is definitely just like playing chess. You don't want to play into a dead end. You don't want to play into a trap.
Most of the things I do are definitely planned. The next thing is always planned, because you can't really play something, you can't really be playing notes and not think at all about what you're playing, but degree of planning would probably be a lot higher in a solo than it would be in just me playing the background, because you can afford to play something that's not exactly interesting or not exactly so musical that you're just trying to figure out while you're in the background. But when you come to the forefront, it's kind of dangerous to not plan at all what you're going to play, I think.
I can be composing, playing one of, writing one of the best pieces I've written so far, and I'll be really happy about that. But at the same time, because I'm doing that, I'm probably thinking ahead. I'm probably really trying to compose. And that in itself means that I am thinking. Even though about music, I'm thinking. And that takes away some kind of magic involved in improvising, which is the quality of being able to get into the music and just blank out. And sometimes I just have to make the choice.
I don't think I really plan on what I'm going to play next. It's just like, it's kind of spur of the moment thing. If I have a feeling like, when you're playing and you look at the other person, they're going to slow down and go to a different part, and maybe it's a part that you already played and you want to go back to it. Like, I'll plan then, like knowing I'm going to go back to play these chords, like G, whatever. But a lot of the time, it's just what you're feeling at that moment that what you start to play.